Andes Flight Disaster Incident. On October 13, 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 carried 45 passengers and crew toward Chile. Among them was Numa Turcati, a 24-year-old law student traveling with friends to a rugby match. The Fairchild turboprop crashed into the Andes Mountains at 12,000 feet altitude. 17 people died in the crash. The remaining 28 survivors found themselves trapped in freezing temperatures with minimal food supplies. The wreckage contained only chocolate bars, wine, and a few crackers. Roberto Canessa, a medical student, calculated their supplies would last 3 days if rationed carefully. The temperature dropped to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit at night. On October 17, an avalanche buried the fuselage while survivors slept inside. 8 more people died, suffocated under tons of snow. The group was now 19 people with no food remaining. By day 10, all edible supplies were exhausted. The survivors faced a terrible choice. The bodies of their friends lay preserved in the snow around them. Gustavo Zerbino was the first to suggest what everyone was thinking. The group would have to eat human flesh to survive. Most agreed reluctantly. Numa Turcati refused completely. The others began cutting strips of meat from the frozen corpses using broken glass and metal from the plane. They dried the meat in the sun and forced themselves to swallow it. Numa watched his friends eat but could not bring himself to participate. He said it went against everything he believed. His body began consuming itself for energy. Within 2 weeks, Numa's cheeks became hollow. His clothes hung loose on his shrinking frame. The cold burned more calories, and his body had no reserves left. His friends begged him to eat, explaining that the dead would want them to survive. Numa's weight dropped from 160 pounds to less than 100 pounds. By November, Numa could barely walk. His legs shook with each step. His ribs showed clearly through his skin. The other survivors shared their portions with him, but it was not enough. His body was breaking down its own muscle tissue to fuel vital organs. His heart struggled to pump blood through his weakened cardiovascular system. On December 1st, Numa collapsed while trying to help with daily tasks. He spent the next 10 days lying in the fuselage, drifting in and out of consciousness. His breathing became shallow and irregular. His pulse grew weaker each day. The other survivors took turns holding his hands and speaking to him, though he rarely responded. Numa's kidneys began failing on December 10th. His body could no longer process waste. His skin took on a yellowish color. His eyes, once bright with determination, became glassy and distant. The medical student monitored his pulse, which dropped below 40 beats per minute. On December 11th, 1972, after 60 days trapped in the mountains, Numa Turcati died of starvation. His body had consumed itself entirely, leaving only skin stretched over bone. He was 24 years old. Lizzie van Zyl incident. In 1901, during the Second Boer War, British forces implemented a scorched earth policy across South Africa. They burned Boer farms and forced families into concentration camps. 7-year-old Lizzie van Zyl arrived at Bloemfontein concentration camp with her mother after soldiers destroyed their farm. The camp housed over 2,000 women and children in overcrowded tents and barracks. Camp officials issued daily rations based on a point system. Adults received 1 pound of meal, half a pound of meat, and 2 ounces of coffee per day. Children received half portions. Lizzie qualified for child rations, receiving approximately 600 calories daily. A growing child her age needed at least 1,400 calories. The camp commandant, Major Gould Adams, reported these rations as adequate in his weekly dispatches to military headquarters. By March 1901, supply problems reduced rations further. The meal was often contaminated with sand and insects. The meat was frequently spoiled, forcing families to discard portions. Clean water was scarce, leading to dysentery outbreaks that prevented proper nutrient absorption. Lizzie's mother watched helplessly as her daughter grew thinner each week. Dr. Kendall Franks, the camp's medical officer, documented rising malnutrition cases in his reports. He noted that children were most vulnerable, with mortality rates reaching 69 deaths per day camp-wide. Lizzie's case number appeared in his records by April, listing her weight as dangerously low for her age group. Her mother requested additional rations, but officials denied the request, citing standard regulations. Lizzie's condition deteriorated rapidly through May. Her hair became brittle and began falling out in clumps. Her skin stretched tight over her ribs, and her arms became thin as sticks. She complained constantly of stomach pain and cold, even during warm days. Other children in the camp showed similar symptoms, but Lizzie's case progressed faster due to her small size and previous poor health. The camp photographer, hired to document conditions for military records, took several pictures of malnourished children. One photograph captured Lizzie sitting on her mother's lap, her enormous eyes dominating her gaunt face. Her arms appeared skeletal, and her dress hung like a sack on her emaciated frame. The photograph would later become evidence of camp conditions during post-war investigations. By June, Lizzie could no longer stand without assistance. Her legs had lost all muscle mass, and her joints appeared enlarged compared to her wasted limbs. She spent entire days lying on a blanket in their tent, occasionally asking for food that did not exist. Her mother held her constantly, feeling each bone through her daughter's paper-thin skin. Dr. Franks examined Lizzie on June 9th and noted severe protein deficiency and complete fat depletion. Her body had consumed all available muscle tissue to maintain organ function. Her heart rate was elevated but weak, struggling to circulate blood through her compromised system. He estimated she had days to live without immediate intervention, but no additional resources were available. Lizzie van Zyl died on June 14, 1901. Her death certificate, signed by Dr. Franks, listed starvation as the primary cause. She weighed 23 pounds at the time of death, less than half the normal weight for a 7-year-old girl. Her mother wrapped her tiny body in the same blanket she had used to keep her warm during those final weeks. Bobby Sands' hunger strike incident. On March 1, 1981, Bobby Sands began his hunger strike in the H block of Maze Prison near Belfast. The 27-year-old IRA member was serving 14 years for firearms possession. He demanded recognition as a political prisoner rather than a common criminal. Sands weighed 155 pounds when he stopped eating. Prison medical officer Dr. Emerson examined him daily and recorded his vital signs in official logs. For the first week, Sands felt relatively normal. His body used stored glycogen for energy, and he experienced mild hunger pangs. He drank only water and took salt to prevent immediate electrolyte imbalance. By day 5, his glycogen reserves were depleted. His liver began breaking down fat stores to produce ketones for brain function. Prison guards noted his increased urination as his kidneys worked to eliminate ketone waste. During week 2, Sands entered full ketosis. His breath smelled sweet from acetone production. He lost 8 pounds as his body consumed fat reserves. Dr. Emerson documented his blood pressure dropping to 160, down from his normal 120/80. Sands complained of dizziness when standing, a sign his cardiovascular system was adapting to reduce blood volume. International media began covering his case as his weight fell to 142 pounds. By day 21, Sands had lost 18 pounds. His body began consuming muscle protein to maintain organ function. His face appeared gaunt and his clothes hung loose. Prison officials offered food multiple times daily, following standard protocols. Sands refused each time, stating his demands remained unchanged. His pulse dropped to 52 beats per minute as his heart muscle weakened. Week 5 marked a critical phase. Sands weighed 128 pounds, having lost 27 pounds. His muscle mass decreased noticeably in his arms and legs. Dr. Emerson noted protein deficiency symptoms, brittle hair, slow healing minor cuts, and swollen ankles from fluid retention. Sands began experiencing periods of confusion and memory lapses as his brain struggled with reduced glucose supply. On April 9th, day 40 of his hunger strike, Bobby Sands was elected Member of Parliament for Fermanagh and South Tyrone. He weighed 118 pounds and could barely walk without assistance. His victory brought international attention to his condition, but he refused all offers to end his strike. Prison medical staff documented his heart rate at 45 beats per minute and blood pressure at 85/50. During week 7, Sands experienced severe muscle wasting. His weight dropped to 108 pounds. His ribcage was clearly visible through his skin. He spent most days lying in his cell, too weak to sit up for extended periods. His kidneys showed signs of stress, producing darker urine with protein content. Dr. Emerson noted his reflexes were significantly diminished. By day 60, Sands weighed 98 pounds and was losing consciousness frequently. His heart struggled to maintain circulation with severely depleted cardiac muscle. His breathing became labored as respiratory muscles weakened. Prison medical staff monitored him around the clock, though he continued refusing treatment. On May 5th, 1981, after 66 days without food, Bobby Sands went into cardiac arrest. His heart, weakened by prolonged starvation, could no longer pump blood effectively. Medical staff attempted resuscitation, but his body had no reserves left to respond. He was pronounced dead at 1:17 a.m., weighing 95 pounds. Turpin House of Horrors incident. In January 2018, police responded to a 911 call from the Turpin family home in Paris, California. Jordan Turpin, 17 years old, had escaped through a window to report that her parents were holding 13 children captive. When officers arrived, they discovered a systematic starvation operation that had lasted 8 years. David and Louise Turpin used food deprivation as their primary method of control over their children, aged 2 to 29. The house contained minimal food in the kitchen. Investigators found empty pantries and a refrigerator with only condiments and expired items. The children were fed one meal per day, usually consisting of a peanut butter sandwich or a bowl of cereal. Sometimes they received only a few crackers. Medical examiner Dr. Sarah Kim documented that the children consumed an estimated 300 to 500 calories daily, far below the minimum survival threshold. Police discovered the children chained to beds in darkened rooms. The 12-year-old weighed 37 pounds, equivalent to an average 5-year-old. Medical records showed he should have weighed approximately 90 pounds for his age. The 15-year-old girl weighed 52 pounds instead of a normal 115 pounds. Her growth had been permanently stunted by chronic malnutrition, and she appeared to be 8 years old. Hospital staff at Riverside University Health System documented severe muscle wasting in all the children. Their arms were skeletal with no visible muscle definition. Their faces showed the characteristic candlesticks, sunken cheeks, and enlarged eyes of advanced starvation. Several children had loose teeth from calcium deficiency and scurvy-like symptoms from vitamin C depletion. The 29-year-old son weighed only 82 pounds, less than many 12-year-olds. His body had never properly developed due to lifelong malnutrition. His muscle mass was comparable to a young teenager, and his cognitive development had been severely impacted by chronic nutrient deficiency. Medical tests showed his organs were functioning at minimal capacity. Jennifer, age 23, weighed 67 pounds and appeared to be a young teenager. Her reproductive system had never matured due to insufficient body fat and nutrients. Her bones showed signs of rickets from vitamin D deficiency, causing deformities in her legs and spine. She had multiple broken bones that had healed improperly without medical attention. Dr. Kim's examination revealed that several children were within 48 to 72 hours of organ failure when discovered. Their kidneys were processing waste poorly due to protein deficiency. Their hearts showed signs of muscle deterioration from the body consuming cardiac tissue for energy. Blood tests indicated dangerously low protein levels and severe anemia. The youngest children showed the most severe stunting. The 8-year-old weighed 22 pounds, less than a typical 2-year-old. Her brain development had been permanently affected by chronic malnutrition during critical growth periods. She could not walk properly due to muscle weakness and bone deformities from calcium deficiency. Medical staff noted that 2 of the children were in immediate danger of starvation death. Their bodies had consumed nearly all available muscle tissue, and their organs were beginning to shut down. The 16-year-old boy's heart rate was dangerously low at 38 beats per minute. His blood pressure measured 70/40, indicating his cardiovascular system was failing. Emergency medical intervention began immediately with carefully controlled refeeding protocols. The children's digestive systems could not handle normal food quantities after years of starvation. Too much food too quickly would cause refeeding syndrome, potentially fatal electrolyte shifts that could stop their hearts. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.